What?
How about that?
Live. I love being live.
Everybody, everybody's like, that is not Lance. Well, everybody that can't read, because I literally put that you were going to be the co-host in the description. So anyway, welcome to Brass Junkies Sundays, everybody. This is not Lance. This is someone who is, well, I mean, if I'm just calling a spade, more interesting, more talented. I actually want to talk to, and her name is Chanell Crichlow. How are
Hey
you?
y'all. Hey guys, how you doing? Good to be here, Andrew. Filling in
Yeah.
for Lance today.
Yeah, there you go. It's those are, well, what's usually you say those are big shoes to fill, but what's the, I guess, yeah, they're very small.
Very tiny shoes to
Very,
fill.
very, very well worn shoes to fill in. So he's phoning it in at this point in his career. Actually, you may not know this, Chanel, but throughout his career, he quits everything after 7 years, like
What?
everything. And yeah, it's just the way that like the Air Force Band, River City Brass Band, Boston Brass. It's like, and guess how many years he's done of the Brass Junkies? 6.
6. So
So
just
yeah,
one more. All
he's
right,
yep,
Lance.
yep,
I
yep.
see you.
So
I'm
yeah, this
coming
is
for it.
actually
I'm coming
this
for
is
your job.
we're auditioning you right now. So yeah,
All right.
we didn't want to tell you to
I
make you
didn't know. I
nervous,
didn't
but
know. Yeah, I'll be more natural that way.
it'd probably be good if we were to actually ask you like if you wanted it. So, but we're us older dudes, we're good at just assuming stuff. Like, well, obviously she'd want to replace him as the co-host. I mean, that's not in question. It's just a question of whether she's a good fit or not.
It's
So
true.
you have a brand new show. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah.
I'm crazy excited about this.
Hustle and Horns. Yeah, man, it's all about LA musicians, LA brass musicians, and me talking to them. And it's been a while because I've recorded about 5 people already. And I just didn't think it was going to be so cool to talk to folks and get to know. I researched a ton about everyone too. And then when I was speaking to them, they just had so much insight on what they do, and everyone does a billion things. In New York, like people think people do a billion things, but I feel like in LA, there's actually room for it to happen here. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Because there's so many industries here. So it's just been great talking to everybody, and it's been like wonderful. Like our first episode that's out right now features Todd Simon, and he's played with everybody. He's played with like Macy Gray. He's played with. He just put down horns, did a horn arrangement for that new song that Moses Sumney and Little Dragon put out, The Other
Mm-hmm.
Lover. He did horn arrangements on that. So, and he does like TV. I mean, he does everything. And I really love talking to Todd because he was one of the first people I talked to when moving out here. Um, and Sylvester Sly Fifth Ave, he put me on to Todd, and Todd is just like a wealth of knowledge. And I don't know, I was hanging out last week with my old high school, LaGuardia High School, and I just my one of my old teachers was like, hey, can you come like talk to the kids and stuff like that. And I was talking to them, and I was like, man, like all the stuff that I'm about to put out through Hustle and Horns is perfect for the young up and coming people, kids, like young students, even adults, because I know people that, my age still trying to figure out like how do you navigate spaces like getting, copyright, getting some licenses, getting some royalties. People still don't know how to do that. And people get, unfortunately, people get kind of screwed over. And Todd talks a lot about that.
Yeah.
So I asked him those kind of questions because, it's just like, it's really insightful. And I thought it was brilliant. Next time, well, I'll leave it for a surprise, but next time I'm talking to someone who plays in a band out here. He plays sousaphone, all right? But he's like primarily an upright bassist.
Hmm.
So I think that's like really cool to have that perspective because he's writing horn arrangements, he's writing string arrangements. I mean, so it's just like I've been, my eyes have been opened for sure. So thank you for telling me about like thank you for pushing me to do this because I feel like if it wasn't for this series, I wouldn't have been talking to like because of the pandemic, talking to people out here, because it's such a big difference from liking someone's photo on Instagram and like DMing them than like really sitting down having a conversation. So the series allowed me to do that, and it's amazing. I can't wait for people to see it. I can't wait for
That's
more people to see it.
That's great. I don't think I said in the intro that this is this is a Pedal Note Media production, even though like we identified Chanel because she's a badass and she needs her voice amplified. She doesn't need it; it should be amplified. We felt like it would be good to amplify it even further, is how I want to actually phrase that. And just wanted to lift it up if at all possible. And actually, I think it was Lance. I think you credit me with the idea in the intro of the show, which is great because now everyone will think it was my idea. But I think it was Lance's idea, like the specifics
Lance has
of
good ideas.
yeah. And I think I was the one that said, "Wait, what about Chanel?" And then Lance and Will were both like, "Duh!" Like, yes, that's
Hmm.
perfect because we were trying to
And
think
shout
of
out to
somebody.
Will.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool because Will did the logos. He did like a bunch of the slides. He's the guy that kind of made it feel kind of what it needs to feel like.
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yes.
So and then Lance was the one who really got the idea. It's like, well, wait a minute. Like we should have her talking to the people that she would already be talking, because that to me it's interesting to hear somebody. Guess what I'm not doing? I'm not trying to break into any music scenes in any cities, and not because if I move somewhere I wouldn't need to break in. I would, just like anybody else, because I'm not moving, right? I'm just like, I'm not like I'm firmly entrenched here with my wife and her band job and etc. But but just like somebody like you, I don't care how talented you are, but coming from New York, it's like you moved a long ways away. It's not exactly like, that's not exactly like going to
Oh
Philly,
yeah.
like that's
Oh
like it's
yeah.
all the way across the country. And
Mhm.
like somebody breaking into LA during a pandemic, it's kind of like
It's
that's
a
an
tricky freaking situation.
right.
Yes, it is.
That is yeah, exactly. So and there's just so many talented people out there. Yeah, the Todd, the conversation with Todd Simon, episode 1, which just came out 2 days ago, was when
Mhm.
this whole thing dropped. It's really fantastic. There's some quality, just there's a lot of detail. And again, it's like here's where I was with it. There was some, you guys did like 5 minutes of like a deep dive of like, if you're on a recording session and
Oh
you
yeah.
write horn lines, like how to get credit for it and what, and some specifics. And guess what I'm not doing is that, right? And you never say never, but like
Right.
I doubt but just the even hearing his approach to it and then the specifics, it like had my mind racing about how I can apply those principles to completely different yet similar aspects of
Yeah.
my own career, which it was fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, like, for example, we're all kind of set onto different realms right now. I mean, for the Brass Junkies, you guys have been doing this series for 6 years, and you guys have a taste of what it's like to have a business that you can run from anywhere, right?
Hmm.
But now we kind of all been put in a situation where we have to like run our business or our whoever we are ourselves, our brand, whatever, from home. And when come to it and like someone's like, hey, yo, I've been seeing like that you can do X, Y, and Z, can you help me out and do that, right? So a lot of us are going to be like, man, this is an opportunity. I have to take this opportunity. I'm guilty of it. And then you just want to take the opportunity. You don't want to figure out how am I going to be compensated for my time. And I
Hmm.
think what Todd was telling us, which is like really vital information, and it's not just for the youth them, it's for everybody. It's for older folks too that's still trying to figure this out. Um, so you're an individual that writes music in whatever capacity. You also have to be the person or get someone else to handle the finances. That's a huge part of how you're going to survive.
Hmm.
And what Todd is saying is like you have to like come at it from a different angle outside of the music. You
Hmm.
have to like get a manager or do it from a ghost email account or whatever. I have doing Pitch Black Brass Band. I swear I have talked to a lot of ghost emails for like rappers or artists, and it was just them typing. You know that shit. I know that shit, but you're just like, whatever. This guy's name is like Bill. So, so, but no, it's smart. and it's like an hour long video, but like you said, like we go in depth of how to handle situations like that. And to be honest with you, I had to handle a situation like that recently, where I had to be like, yo, like what's the cut on this, what's the cut, like why aren't you telling me what the situation is? And you have to, no matter how much you want to come across as like someone who is amiable and someone who's easy to work with and someone who's, X, Y, and Z, you also have to stand up for yourself in terms of finances, or else what are you doing it for? If,
Yeah.
like at this point, like I have a wife and kid, I can't just be like, as much as I like to, I can't just be doing anything just for free unless like I am like really into the project's a passion project or whatever. But I have people have to be upfront, and oftentimes it's other musicians and um, other artists. Albeit maybe it's like a really well known artist, and you're handling it with their team. But it's all information that we have to know and kind of like need to stick up for ourselves. Todd said, Todd gave a great example of this. He said, "This is my fee. This is how much it costs, right, for whatever gig." And they were like, "You know what? That's too much, But Todd was saying, "This is how much it's going to cost for me to arrange this song and hire all these musicians to come and play it."
Mm-hmm.
And he just said it wouldn't be fair to me or my musicians to have them come out and do something like that for that price.
Right.
And he let it go, right? So they hired someone else. They hired another group. The group couldn't perform as well. And this doesn't happen all the time. Most of the time, they get another group and they're like fine with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the group didn't perform, and they called him back and say, "Hey, we'll make it work."
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like you need to like just know your worth. And I think if that's one thing that Todd Simon, tells us, is that you got to know your worth. You got to work hard and you just got to go for it.
Right.
And, I wish I had, he's a teacher as well. And I wish I had like more teachers than I did, but I wish I had more teachers like him, in my world when I was younger, because he's really like a fascinating person.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, I think we've confused the people. First of all, it's an hour earlier than usual, but I think we've confused people because like we're not used to providing anything that's worthwhile at all in these Sunday chats. It's just like if Lance says anything that's bordering on being helpful to anybody, then I'll say something stupid, and it's not planned. It's not like a shtick. It's just like, hey, it's funny. And then if I border on helpful, then Lance says something stupid. But yeah, so no one has commented yet because everybody is just like everybody's wondering whether I'm having a midlife crisis because like having you
Oh
on
my
and we're
goodness.
talking about like real things. So
Oh my goodness.
which would actually
Yeah,
be an
man.
honor because I'm 45. I think I'm a little
You're not very old, man. I'm
well, but I'm
almost
south.
there.
Yeah, but I'm like south of midlife. Like you're closer to midlife than I am. Like it's just a math issue. I don't think I'm gonna make it to 90. I was a touring full-time road musician for 14 years. That doesn't exactly like extend your life expectancy by 4 years.
Yo,
So
man.
yeah,
Let's like, have you seen that Billie Eilish documentary?
I have not.
She man, like, talking about touring musicians, she like, fucking like ripped across her knees and stuff from like dancing and jumping on stage, and she like broke her ankle. It's just like, it's a lot of work being a touring musician. That people don't talk about that, but jumping on stage with a tuba or sousaphone, like, man, you're gonna have back issues for the rest of your life.
That is one thing that I was smart enough to do is I always just sat down. I was like, yeah, I know it looks cooler if you stand up, but yeah, but I'm gonna sit down. Like, no, that's not relevant.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the way to go. That's the way to go. Yeah,
I
real.
actually I used a strap for like my first few months in Dallas brass, which I was in very briefly before Boston brass, and
Hmm.
my back was all whacked. Like, and
Yeah,
I was 24 at that time. That was
man,
early, and my back was
24.
my
How
back.
was how was that experience at 24?
I will never forget that the second day on the road with Dallas Brass, I was in the car with Taga Larson, who is now a trumpet player in the Chicago Symphony.
Hmm.
and he had been in Dallas Brass and then was in the Marine Band for 5 years, and then he maybe a little more than 5 years, and then he how hardcore is this? He decided that he had promised himself that by the age of 30 that he was going to have a major symphony orchestra job, and he realized that he didn't like his chances if he stayed in the Marine Band, so he quit the Marine Band to focus full time on winning an
I
orchestral
don't,
job, and then like within months he won the St. Louis Symphony job,
how
but
does,
that was for like he's not normal in any way.
yeah.
And But that didn't start for a year, and Dallas Brass had an opening, so he joined Dallas Brass for a year, like a second tour of duty, which was when the year I was in there. And I remember in the car saying to him, I said, "You know what?" I was like, "I just realized that last night was the first night I ever, spent in a hotel room alone. Like I had spent, like I'd done lots of hotel stays with like friends, like seeing, following fish
Mhm.
around, but we weren't exactly all getting our own rooms. It was like six people in a room.
Right. Oh yeah,
Um,
I've
and
been
uh,
there.
and so when I said to him, I was like, last night was the first time I ever slept alone in a hotel room. And he was driving, but he looked over at me and he just said, "You're such a baby." And it was like it wasn't mean, but it was funny. So
Hmm.
yeah, it was kind of wild. I mean, I was in grad school, and then I just
Yeah.
like all of a sudden got the Dallas Brass call, and then I started subbing with Boston Brass, and then I was gone with both those bands. That um, probably the proudest moment of my career. I was somewhere in Kansas on my brand new cell phone. This was in like March of 2000. I got my cell phone in like November of '99, and it was Sam Palafian calling, who was my, I was his graduate TA. He said, "All right, Hits, do you want the good news or the bad news?" And I said, like, you tell me. I could hear that he was happy. So he
Hmm.
said, the bad news is that you just got kicked out of grad school. He said the good news is that you just got kicked out of grad school. He said, "Congratulations, man." He's like, "You're bleeping doing it." So it
Wow.
was all amicable, but since I was his TA, since I was
Yeah.
never in town, the a school, if your TA is never there, will be like, "Well, apparently you don't need a TA," and then they take it away, and then
Mhm.
they never give it back to you.
Oh damn.
So it was fine. It was like, so I got kicked out of school, which meant I didn't
That's
have to like
dope.
pretend like I cared when I went back, which was awesome. Yeah, so it was a
That's pretty.
win-win for everybody. So
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, that must have been crazy experience to be that young doing such like high profile shows and like yeah and like that kind of playing like night in and night out. Yeah, I've already come to the conclusion that like I reached my peak in grad school. That's how I'm just like it's all downhill from here. Like
no.
it's just maintenance now. Like
Now
you
you
know.
got a show on Pedal Note Media. I mean, you haven't peaked. I mean, maybe you peaked 2 days ago. Yeah, when we
Yeah, well,
added you. Yeah. So
Well, playing wise, I think
oh.
I got a lot more peaking to do in other places, but I feel like, that experience like must have been awesome. Like I
it
can't
it was
imagine.
incredible. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was, and to get to play. I'll also never forget. It was like there was like a 4 or 5 day boot camp for Dallas Brass where we were just like rehearsing for like 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the afternoon. It was
Yeah.
like on day three, like my lips were just like, I mean, to just touch my mouthpiece to my face like
Mhm.
hurt. And
Mhm.
I'll never forget that Taga and he was not doing the trumpet player thing like at all.
Mhm.
Like, Todd called himself the anti-trumpet player, like in
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
interview. Like he was facing like the corner, like he wasn't like, "Look at me," but
Mhm.
he was playing the opening to Mahler 7, like big
Mhm.
screaming, and it
Mhm.
was like, and he just like took a breath and he just played, and this was 5 minutes after he took the trumpet out of the and
Jeez.
it sounded like the trumpets that they talk about in the Bible. It was like just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
descending down. And
Yeah.
I couldn't touch my horn to my face without it hurting. And I was like, I think I could
Yeah.
learn something about efficiency from this gentleman. So
Yeah, he's been going through it for that's always surprising. I mean, trumpet players they got to keep in shape constantly though.
yes, they
I
do.
mean, do you feel like I feel like tuba is like you stay in shape longer without being in shape longer than all the other instruments. I personally, do you agree? Yeah, right.
I do, there's two exceptions for me, which is extreme high register and extreme soft playing. Like those are
Yes.
the two things that piece out faster than anything else. Low
Mhm.
register is like I need to dust it off, but
Yeah.
barely.
Yeah.
Like the tonguing and all that, like flexibility, that's always there. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
soft or high, and if it's both, and I'm like really out of shape, then that's when I start praying a lot, and I'm not religious, so it doesn't work. So, but that's when I start praying a
Only,
lot.
only you're only religious when you get turbulence on a plane. That's like when I'm religious. Like
Fox,
when turbulence start
foxhole
happening.
prayers. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, man. No, for me, it's like what gets me back into like feeling good after I took a break is like flexibility stuff, and just moving, like movement around the horn, like the beautiful sound study or something like that, or
Hmm.
some other kind of warm up, and then just like doing some arpeggios and seeing if I could like still hit. Can I still hit high notes? And and then I feel like okay, it's okay. But I feel like the breath is like sometimes the thing that like is harder, especially like low playing for like really long periods of time. Anyhow, we're
Hmm.
talking about tuba stuff right now.
No, it's all
But
good. So you know,
but I
it's
feel like that's like kind of like the heart. You kind of realize, oh man, like my breath, like I gotta rework on that. Anyhow, but yeah,
you were talking about your, I don't know if it was your next guest or an upcoming guest who plays upright but also plays tuba,
yeah.
and I actually have just started taking lessons on
Ooh,
this thing.
yeah, I see that bass over
I
there.
just started playing the bass. I mean, I played a little bit in the pandemic, like
Hmm.
is when I first started,
Hmm.
but that's actually kind of inspired me to start practicing the tuba more, believe it or not. And now that I've
Hmm.
got a teacher, which is actually my good friend, my dear friend John Butte, who's an
Hmm.
amazing music teacher, and bass player and guitarist, and he plays the trumpet, and he's like
Wow.
yeah, he's a Renaissance dude.
Yeah.
But his daughter, Izzy, is did she just turn 11? Yes, I was going to say 10, but that's not right. She just turned 11, but
Hmm.
she's suddenly has kind of caught fire in terms of interest on the tuba. So I'm teaching her a half hour for free, and
Hmm.
then it's funny, she's up on the third floor, and then hang up with her, and then I get on with dad, who's in the basement, and then he teaches me for free for half an hour on the bass.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, but
That's a
I've
nice trade off.
right, it's great, it's perfect. Yeah,
Yeah, man.
it's perfect. But this is actually, I'm thinking so much about groove on the bass that I've actually started to well, I've started putting like funk drum beats on YouTube. It's
Yeah.
amazing if you just put like, funk groove 70, it's like, and then it's
Yeah.
70 beats per minute. But I've just started doing
Yeah.
like and then and just like
Yeah.
whatever, like 5/7
Yeah.
stuff, and then descending, and then just
Yo, that tuba came out of nowhere, man. I thought you were gonna. I was like, wait. Because I see the other tuba back
I
there.
got I got tubas everywhere. I got an F tuba somewhere. I got a small B flat somewhere. I got,
Yeah.
like,
No,
yeah.
learning bass is awesome, man. And I feel like, I feel like I could say the same thing about the flugabone. I feel like the flugabone kind of inspired me to play tuba more too. Like, and
Hmm.
I realized like it's all connected. And I was talking, some people, like, I feel like a lot of people feel like they gotta just do what they think they gotta do, right? Just play whatever horn they think
Hmm.
they gotta play or they started out playing with. And I'm like, music is just all connected.
Yeah.
And, playing other instruments just makes you want to play more,
Yeah.
you know? But yeah, tuba is like, I mean, I've been playing the tuba, like I was telling you, I was just doing a little recording session. I've been playing the tuba like all weekend, and then my lips are just like, I was like so tired. Like just now, I was like, oh, good time to take a break. But I was like, I feel really nice playing the tuba. Tuba feels really good, and I miss that feeling of like how I feel playing the tuba. Like obviously we come to the instrument for a reason,
Hmm.
and I miss that, and it feels good to like get it in. But yeah, I mean, I started, like, my wife has a guitar, and I started playing the guitar, just like trying to figure out chords. I just don't feel like I got like I figure out how to play a string like instrument like that. I feel like my hands don't like wrap around enough, or but I'm gonna figure it out. I'm just gonna play chords, you know.
Problem with
Uh,
guitar is that the strings are like, it's like same interval, same interval, same interval, same interval, different. It's like, who the hell
Yeah.
thought up that? Like what?
Yeah.
Like yeah, that was somebody who like it all comes too easily to them, and it's like let's screw with
Yeah.
everybody else by just
Yeah,
changing
I
that
know.
last
It's like,
string.
yeah, guitar is like annoying, but I'm just like, I just need to like know
So
how to
are
play music.
guitarists.
Yeah, especially the ones that like can't read music.
I hate people that can't read music who didn't have the same head start I did. I hate them. The
Oh my God. Let's no. I don't hate people that don't read
no,
music
no, no.
either.
Don't worry about what comes out of my mouth. Um, we couldn't stay serious the whole time, or people were going to start emailing. So, oh,
Okay.
I by the way, I haven't heard yet that the most recent Brass Junkies. If anybody hasn't heard it, it's with I'm going to try and say this right, Bente Ilivol, which I think is like a good butchering. It's an admirable butchering of her name. The
Where?
she's a Norwegian euphonium
Okay.
player,
Hmm.
and it was I joked I think on that interview where it's like I always say this, but I usually don't mean it. But it's like, oh, you guys have been a great audience. It's like, well, no, you've been fine, like but you say it every once in a while on the mic. I'd be like, I'm serious this time. Like I say that, but like you guys have been killer. This was one of the most interesting interviews that we've done on the Brass Junkies.
Wow.
She's just a fascinating career. She's commissioned a whole bunch of works. She has a
That's dope.
she has a euphonium tuba duo. She has a euphonium percussion duo. She's done some stuff with string quartet and euphonium. Like she's
What's her tuba duo?
it is called Northern Lights with Dave Earl, who
Are
teaches
they on
tuba at
YouTube?
Ithaca. They are, yes.
I
Yep.
think I've seen some of their stuff.
Yeah,
I think
it's
so.
hip. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
think
it's
so.
great. But everybody should check that out, like because
I,
it's
Northern
yeah,
Lights.
she was really really interesting. I mean, I figured that she was going to be. I wasn't
Hmm.
surprised. But
Hmm.
like anytime that anybody's that interesting to talk to, it's like we only choose people who are doing cool stuff. So it's like
Hmm.
I'm how do I put this? Like, I'm rarely impressed with the interview itself because I expect them to be great, and they are great just because we
Yeah.
ask really, really cool people who are doing really hip stuff to talk
Mhm.
about it. So it's like, it's super rare when we get done, like super rare, and we're just kind of like, yeah, that was fine, like
Yeah.
to ourselves. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, that's like low single digits in the 150 whatever interviews that we've done that we've just
Wow.
kind of been
Mhm.
like, yeah, that was fine. But every once in a while there's one that just kind of like is like that was really kind of mind-blowing.
Wow.
So
I gotta
yeah,
listen to that. Is
yeah,
does she live still in Norway
she
or?
does. Yep, she
Wow.
does. Yeah, she was supposed to fly to the United States, and she I think she could have gotten on one of the last flights out of Norway, like right when
Mm,
the pandemic hit. I mean, because she was trying to figure out whether to do it or not, because some places were canceling and others weren't. And
yeah.
she listened to her gut and she didn't, which is good because it was like the next day or something that like I mean she would have been here for
Should have been
months and
stuck.
months and months. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't want to be stuck here if you can be in Norway instead
Hmm.
because I think they have
That's
a higher
crazy.
percentage of adults there.
Yeah.
So, but I've said too much.
Well, that's
So
awesome.
the other thing is that in half an hour, I am hosting a very special winning the audition with Chris Martin,
He
principal
is
trumpet of the New York
amazing.
Philharmonic. Yes,
Yeah.
he is. Not just is he an amazing player, but he's also a really phenomenal teacher. Like he's very good at putting concepts into in a way that are very easily digestible and then actionable by the person that he's
Hmm.
sharing it with. So I'm really looking forward to talking to him about I mean, the dude has won auditions with well, did he start in Philly? And then he's like Atlanta, like principal in Atlanta, principal in Chicago, principal in the New York Philharmonic. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like a historic career, and the dude's not
Hmm.
50 yet. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, crazy,
I had
crazy.
I, I had a master class with him, and I was in some summer program where he was a teacher. I think it was. I want to say it was out in California somewhere. And he was, yeah, his teaching was amazing. He's
Hmm.
brilliant. I mean,
Yes.
because you could tell he's one of those people that sits down and figures out a routine that really, really works.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's able to share it, unlike, some people would just kind of like wing stuff. But he really had the knowledge to like tell students what they need to do to get, he's really dope. And he's a really nice guy,
He
which
is.
I like.
He's a super nice guy. So yeah, I will I'm gonna put the link to this thing actually in in I'll comment here on the Brass Junkies page. We're like in on 4 different places. But that's if you use the offer code Hooten, which you're like, wait, why would you use the offer code Hooten if it's a Chris Martin class? That's because if you sign up for this, first of all, that gets the price down to $19. But that also gets you the we did a winning the audition. I always say that, it make it sound like I've got like a team. It was me. I interviewed him for a winning the audition back in September, and you can watch that in the archives, which hasn't been available since the event. So you get both of them for that price. The Hooten conversation was, my goodness, it was like he talked about staying positive, like about mentality, about getting organized, about he talked about a spreadsheet that he uses where where he said, it's like, well, I suck in the high register, and then he's like, well, and then you notice, or I think he used soft playing as an example. He said, you think that you're just not good at soft playing, but then you realize that you've only actually touched it in an intentional way like twice in the last 2 weeks. He said it's not an issue of you sucking at soft playing. It's like it's a lack of familiarity. Like you're not
Mhm.
doing it, and so like the self knowledge that comes from getting organized, like that conversation alone. Chris could suck tonight. It hasn't happened. It might happen. He might suck tonight. He might offer absolutely no value of any kind at all. I
It might
guarantee.
be trash.
I might. It might. Yeah, exactly. It might just be terrible. But just the Hooten one is like it's worth the $19, and both of them are available long term in the archives. So
Yeah,
um yeah, we've got some people like got somebody who signed up from Mexico, somebody signed up in Portugal. It's kind of like a global audience, so that's going to be really fun. That's in 27 minutes.
that's
So
awesome.
yeah, so there you go. So I will toss that link in the I was gonna say in the show notes. There are no show notes, dude. This is a live stream, so it's hard. Don't get old, because then there's just like little things change, but it's very hard to
To change your, yep.
I can change the big things easier than the little things. It's like, yeah, it's just I get confused very easily. So,
Yo, my student took you guys's the last
oh,
event that you
the
guys
tuba
had.
workshop,
Yeah, the tour workshop. He was there.
awesome, awesome,
He really loved it, and
great.
I think that he learned a lot just from like hearing other students play and hearing their feedback that they got.
That's great.
So he
That makes
loved
me
it.
so happy. Oh,
Yeah.
that was a really special event. Yeah, that
Hmm.
was yeah, you figure something out in this business pretty quickly that if I'm joking that the Chris Martin session might not be helpful. Of course it's going to be amazing. Like no matter what I do, and I've been doing interviews for a long time, and I have a style. Like there are some people who
Hmm.
wish it was different, and then there are other people who love it, and it's like, but it's like, and then there's a few people in between, but it can be polarizing. But that's the thing. It's like I could hand this off to somebody who sucks at interviewing, and
Yeah.
like they would and he would be killer. It's like if you hire the
Hmm.
right people, if you hire
Yeah.
Velvet Brown and you hire Roger
Hmm.
Bobo and you hire
Hmm.
Patrick Sheridan and David
Yeah.
Zirkle and Deanna Swoboda and Mike Roylance, then it's like it's going to be a great event. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's awesome that your student got so much out of it.
Yeah. He
That
loved
makes
it.
me really happy. So
Yeah.
cool. Well, I'm going to throw this link in the comments here on the Brass Junkies Facebook page. And see, now the problem is if I click on this to get to, there it is that if you click on it, then oh geez, there are comments that weren't working on my thing. Hey, look at that.
What?
I totally missed it. Of course, Ellen's here. She's here.
No.
She's here always. Greetings. Glad to see Chanel featured. Zach Kramer said Chanel for the win.
What up, Zach?
And then yeah, we got. Yep. Jonas Biles said, "Great problem to have." See, now that I wasn't seeing that, like, who knows
You
what
have no
Jonas
idea
was
what he's
talking.
talking
No,
about.
16. Can you remember what we were talking about 16 minutes ago exactly?
Nope.
So now, come on, you're young. You should be able to do that. You should be able to
Man, I
dial
have
that
the
in.
worst memory, dude. I have the worst memory. Mm-mm. And I
Uh,
don't even smoke weed that much or anything. The worst.
oh goodness gracious.
I'm sorry. I don't know. Is it? I know this is like young people watch this too, but
We're fine. So back in like the back in the 90s, we probably would have just gotten canceled. Like suddenly, like my Verizon would just cut FiOS off at my house like permanently. Like, we don't even want
he
your money.
mentioned
So
the word
yeah,
weed.
it wasn't even me. It was her. She did it. So
Cut her Wi-Fi
yeah.
off.
Oh, Jonas was talking about getting kicked out of grad school. Yes, that was a great problem to have. So, and actually, if you want to hear a great story, I will not tell it now. But if you want to hear a great story, listen to the Dennis Askew, who we tragically, I still can't believe that this happened, but we lost him like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, like very, very, very suddenly, like awful. But his interview is wonderful. But I tell the story of how I got into graduate school, and yeah. So we'll just say, yeah, it was is interesting. So it's
Can I
my yeah.
can I
Anyway,
say something?
yeah,
And
please,
talking about graduate school,
yeah.
I saw one of those photos that Brass Junkies posted on like social media, like you as like a 24-year-old versus you now, and you like look the same. Like I could like see. It's just like your face just like doesn't change. Like it's amazing. You look just like you did. I mean,
Well,
there's no like word for like white don't crack, black don't crack is a thing, but like there's not that word for you guys, so it's just a compliment. It's just a compliment. Anyhow,
I don't. There you
yeah,
go.
good
There.
for you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I think part of that was that when I was 24, I treated myself like absolute crap all the time, like physically, and I was always tired. So I think I looked tired then, and so like I think that helps. If the before does like looks about
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
it's like if
Well,
I look.
that's because you went on tour like really young, so it all kind of just from tour days to now, it's like you just like went in,
Well, and I had been, and I mean, this is not like working on the road, but I had been. I mean, when I got into Dallas Brass, I had seen the band Fish like 120 times or something,
Yeah, that
and,
that
and like
also means you've done some other things 120
there
times
was yeah, well
that will
there
stay
yes,
not mentioned.
yeah, and that was like coast to coast. I'd been to Canada. I mean, so like I had like driven like tens of thousands of miles following Fish, like from when I was 18 like up through. So it was like
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
the road thing was just kind of was just like it just kind of kept going, and suddenly I was like getting paid to do it. I was like, well, this is cool. I was like, yeah, I guess I could bring my horn, yeah, and then get paid really well. It's like this is
Wow.
awesome. So
Yeah.
anyway, so
Wow.
everybody needs to check out her new
Yes,
show,
yes, yes. Please
Hustle and
check
Horns,
out Hustle
and
and Horns,
it's on your YouTube channel.
on my YouTube
Um,
channel. Type in Chanell Crichlow or Tuba Fresh, and you'll find it. Or type in Hustle and Horns, you'll find it.
yes,
It's a
yep,
it's a great series, and definitely if you're like aspiring musician, definitely something you should check out. If you're a professional musician, definitely something to check out. It's just fun. It's just fun.
yeah, yeah. It's really well done, and I can't wait to see how it morphs, because even when it's as good as your first one was, the fifth one's going to be different, and the
Yeah.
you know and the
Yeah.
15th will be different. I mean, however long it goes, it's like it just kind of yeah,
It'll change. Yeah. I'm
it's
excited
yeah,
about that.
yeah, it's kind of cool. And there is no way to get like, well, as you'll hear, listen to it. Her interview is great. It's fantastic. Like you don't sit there going like, oh, I can't wait until she grows into this role, because it's awesome. And yet you're going to grow into this specific role because everyone
Yeah.
does. I mean, you have to
Yeah.
lack
Yeah.
all self-awareness, or else you will
You know
evolve.
what?
Like it's crazy.
Interviewing people is definitely a skill. You know what I mean? Like when I sat down with you guys, I was like, oh, they really know how to do this well, because I've sat down with a lot of other people and it's just like, a little. You could tell, and I
Yeah.
feel like I'm still getting like, you gotta. It's a whole skill, and I'm like, I really enjoy it, and I'm trying to figure it out. I think I'm definitely gonna I could see myself getting better, and different people, to feel the vibe of different people. it's each person is different, how they react, so
Yep.
anyhow, yeah, I'm excited, I'm really excited about it.
Good.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, I'm excited, dude.
Good stuff. Well, I've got to go.
Have
I
fun.
have to. Sorry, I'm supposed to say I get to talk to Chris Martin. So if Michael Martin, his brother, who's rolling his eyes right now, might be listening, so I'll just say I have to talk to Chris because that'll endear me to Michael, who otherwise he'll just roll his eyes. So,
Yeah, well, have
Chanel,
fun.
you're awesome. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, in the fold with Paddle Media. And yeah, stay tuned for more stuff with Chanel, and that's going to do it for this hang.